So everybody together?
Yay.
1, 2, 3. Still a fail. Okay, so welcome to Sparking Harmonies. We are your hosts, François
and Lily.
And we are two friends who don't quite listen to the same bands or the same genres,
but who are here to talk to you about everything and anything music related.
Yay!
So today we have two guests. Following our last episode where we talked about my experience with Confront, we thought it would be fun to have others on board to talk about their experiences because we like to know all the juicy details of band interactions. So we're going to let them introduce themselves this time. So go ahead.
Hi, I'm Marie Claire, or Mary Claire, or MC. And I'm a photographer. I work as a photographer by day, and in the before times, I was also doing shows and photographing shows by night. But you know, right now it's not happening. But
no.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Anne-Marie or Anne-Marie or any variation of that name. Gotta love composed name in French. I'm a dispute analyst in a bank by day and by night. I usually attend a lot of shows, a lot of hockey games, and I used to be a correspondent interviewer and a bit of a photographer with Confront magazine.
Yeah.
So
and at the end, you even took over for the French part. You were
oh my god, I completely forgot. Yeah, I created the French part of Confront that was there for about 2-3 years.
Yeah. How can you forget that?
I don't know. I was so focused because the interview was in English that I completely
so you just didn't think about that part.
No.
Don't worry, you will do like Lily did. You will remember things and adding stuff. You just have to talk about the main. Probably it's the better idea.
Don't get me started. Okay, so we're gonna go in with a few get to know your guests questions. Questions, not episodes. So, what were your first albums? Either that you received, that you bought, which was the first one that you remember?
For me, it was Eiffel 65. I was 11 years old. It's the first album I got. It was for my confirmation. So my grandmother had bought me a disc player, and my parents had bought me this album so I could have something to listen to when I got that gift. So that was the first album I got.
Isn't that album is like 5 versions of the same song? Like Blue Dabbity Dabbida. It's like
no, there are quite a few different songs. I don't even think there are remixes on the album.
Okay,
no,
I was pretty sure.
Yeah, there are. I'm not 100% sure, but I know there isn't like 5 remixes. That I'm sure.
And what about you?
Okay. The funny thing is, I wanted to be like, I'll be like a little bit out there, and my album is Eiffel 65.
Seriously?
But I don't know if it's my first album, but I was like, I know it's an album I like. I still have. I still like. I re-listened to it like yesterday, and it's like it's still great. Still have like banger songs. Still remember all the lyrics. But yeah,
that's
I
so
was like,
funny.
I'll go for like an album that is more like nobody like knows or nobody listened to it, and like, well, there you go.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
That's nice.
Also, like same like I was like, I don't want to say Simple Plan, but like there's Simple Plan too. No Pads, No Helmets. Or I remember the first. I'm pretty sure their second album is like the first album I bought with like my own money, or that I was really excited to buy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that's really funny.
It
didn't
is.
expect-
So I saw it's funny because when she was talking, I saw you react and I was like,
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
That's really like what a coincidence.
Yeah.
So, what was or what is your most memorable experience with music?
I think for me it's and Anne-Marie, you were there, so it's kind of funny, but like hearing the song Electric Feel by MGMT
Yes.
for the first time was like, I don't know, it was such a cool experience and like an experience I've kind of never had before with a song. Like I really liked that song, but like to hear it live, it was like, oh my God.
Wait, wasn't I there too? Wasn't that at Osheaga or was that another time?
No, it was
at
before
Metropolis.
Osheaga, yeah.
Because I was with you when they were at Osheaga
Yeah, that's true.
with the fireworks in the
Yes.
back.
Oh, that was, yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. I always, I've seen MGMT a couple times, but like, yeah, the first time I saw them, I was like, oh my God, this song is great. And that's why I have it tattooed on me. So
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what about you and Marie?
That's funny because mine is also with a tattoo of a band I have.
are you twin sisters or something?
No, but
Not that we
we've
know
been
of.
friends. Yeah. But yeah, it's for me, it's a tattoo. It's A7X for Avenged Sevenfold. And it's linked to Confront actually, but one of the first assignment I had, I was going to Toronto with my best friend to see them play at Uproar Music Festival. And while I was there, I had brought my camera just in case
Right.
openings. And Sophie, which used to be in the magazine, sent me an email and was like, you got your photo pass, you're gonna take pictures of Avenged Sevenfold. And it was something to see. First, I think it was the first time I was seeing them, but not just that. First time I was seeing them, I was taking pictures of them.
Oh, that's
like-
nice.
That's really cool. That is really cool. And going on, what is now a musical guilty pleasure of yours?
I'm scared we're gonna have the same again because we keep having the same answer. It's Shawn Mendes.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
I don't know, like that's hard for me because like I'm trying to not be like like I love pop music and like stuff that can be like called
Guilty pleasures, yeah.
but like for me it's more like I really like electronic music these days, so like douchey electronic like I would call it. Like I don't know, there was like this Doc Sauce song that I was really into that is called like Energy, but like I feel like it's like, yeah, it's just like I know it's like douchey and like not not that good, but like I don't know, the beat was good, so
it's okay. See, I agree with that point of view. This is something that Francois and I have discussed. Is I also when I get asked about guilty pleasures, I don't know what to say because I'm just like, I'm not ashamed of any of the music that I listen to, and to me, like I can like any music and there's not a problem.
For me, it's a work in progress.
I think for me too, because the genre of music I usually like are far more intense. I like metal, I like hardcore, I like that kind of music. So often it's a very elitist
totally.
fan base. So as soon as you don't like something that is very intense or very like masculine, you could say, or that there's too much of a feminine fan base, you're not seen as a real fan. So as Francois said, it's a work in progress for me too. Like I'm not ashamed to say I like Shawn Mendes, but it's more that it's really like different from what I usually listen to.
Yeah, I have the same journey, if you will. I'm a metalhead, and every time you just show a bit of something like different, like if you said you like rap for it, an instance, like it's probably the same thing as say you kill like kids. I think you got the stare.
Like, excuse me?
Yeah, and you just walked back in the shadows. Forget about it. No,
but that's funny because when I was working at HMV, I that's when I was like, you know what, like everyone likes everything. There was the metalheads that would like fire up like Avril Lavigne, Demi Lovato, or like any, like they would like pretty much like any music,
anything,
and they would like rap, they would like everything. So I was like, you know what, like, and you know, they would like One Direction was like really big at that moment, and I didn't really like them at before that, but they kind of made me like realize, you know what, like everyone can like
whatever they want.
You don't need to like just listen to one thing.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I'm better because I listen to like indie, like
right. But some people do think like that.
Sure, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but yeah, that was great to like learn that like, oh no, people can like won't judge you because you like this type of music.
Right.
Yeah. No, I feel like it's getting better on that side on some level with metal music, but there's still this kind of elitist feel, and I think I always think it's dead. It's not there anymore. And then Ghost releases a song or releases something, you go in the comment and everyone is losing their minds because they're saying it's not metal because it's not heavy, and you're like,
well,
we were
it's
just
like
discussing this.
I think that happened recently with Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, they
with their latest album.
Genres,
yeah,
like, they went totally out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then people were like, no, this is not it. This is not your sound. What are you doing? You're selling out.
Yeah, but on the other end, they always like 2 years before anyone else on the chance, so they probably win on the long run. I'm pretty sure the show already sold out, but there's no show, but I'm pretty sure their show all sold out. So,
well, it's like Linkin Park. Everyone was always complaining when they were releasing an album, and it was always ending up like sold out shows and amazing every single time.
Yeah.
And it's also fine to like not like a band anymore because the sound you don't relate to anymore.
Absolutely.
You know, like Simple Plan, for example. To be honest, I don't listen to them anymore because it's not what I like anymore, or like I don't relate to it because they haven't changed that much. And you know, you grow out of a style, or sometimes you know, a band is just like growing a certain way and you're like, well, I don't relate.
Yeah, and that's okay. And people need to accept that their favorite band might not always be their favorite band.
Yeah. But at least you make the difference in that, Marie-Claire. Like you said, I grew out of it, but a lot of people will say, oh, it's not the same, or it's too much the same. Not good. So at least you make like the difference here, and it's not everyone who makes it.
Yeah, but it's funny because you mentioned it being the same or not the same. Some people will complain that the band hasn't changed, and then others will complain that the band has changed. So there's no win-win situation ever.
For example, imagine AC/DC having like a, I don't know, electronical music album. They are doing the same thing since the 70s. So
yeah. That would be interesting.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, maybe. So regarding that, what is your artist of the moment?
I'm totally obsessed with like the new Glass Animals album. I don't know if you know that band.
Nope.
They're kind of like, it's really hard to like pinpoint what they are, but they have like synthy sound, but like kind of mellow. But kind of vibey too. It depends. They have different type songs in the album. It's really good. They even have a little bit of like rap, I would say. Not like, it's really like a melting pot of everything, but it's really good. I really it's a band I loved before, and like I really enjoyed their new album. It's called Dreamland. Yeah.
Oh, and what about you?
My artist lately has been the same for about a year or two. It's Beartooth. I especially loved, I especially loved their newest release, which was the Blackbird Session. I think it's the name, the Blackbird Session. And it's a cover of a few of their songs in a country-ish, bluesish version. And it's super mellow, and it works pretty well with Caleb Chaumont, who used to be in Attack Attack. It blends so well with his voice. It's actually soothing to listen to, and it's pretty much what I listen to when I work. or Shawn Mendes.
That's funny because I would not have associated singer of Attack Attack with soothing.
But it's the second singer, because first it was Weston Carlisle. Now it's well, after that it was Caleb Shomo, and then the band just stopped. But yeah, it's surprising. It's really a must. Anyone that is like, I don't like metal singer's voice or blah blah, they cannot sing, I'm like, go listen to the Blackbird sessions of Beartooth, then come back.
Well, let's check that out. And so now, what are your songs of the moment? It can be from a different artist. It can be from the same.
Well, the last song I put in my November playlist, well, I just started it, but like, is a douchey electro song from a band called, three DJs called Medusa with a Z.
Okay.
And the song is called Lose Control. And yeah, the vibe is good.
We'll check that out.
Yeah.
Girl, you were always so good with playlists. Like, it's something that came back, like, even when we were talking more and all that, you always had like your month's playlist.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just like, when I like a song, I just add it to my like monthly playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Like loop those songs, and like, I don't know. It's rare that I just listen to an album. I try to do it more, but like, I don't know. I pick songs and I do my playlist, which is usually weird because I like so many different things.
It's a very varied one then.
Yeah.
For me, I weirdly, my song of the month is a song that has been held for quite a bit of time. It's Mind Reader by A Day to Remember.
Okay.
They've been pushing back their album for months.
Really? When was it supposed to come out?
I think it was supposed to be like in January.
Oh, wow.
And then COVID happened.
Right.
And then, no, first they said, oh, we want to push it back because we want to add stuff. And then COVID happened and they're like, oh, we're going to release song. And Mind Reader is the last one. And I remember it's January because a year ago today, I was at the show and they said our album's going to be out in January.
Oh.
So it hurts.
Soon, maybe.
Yeah.
And what have you been listening to, François?
Okay, I will have to find my inner Japanese. I'm really into a band called Tricot. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to pronounce it in English, I guess. It's a Japanese math rock pop punkish band. I don't know why I stick to it, because normally I'm not really into like the weird time signature stuff, but I don't know, I just click it and it's like maybe manga music. They had 2 albums this year, so it's kind of cool because we need new music, I guess, with all the lockdown situation. But they are celebrating their 10th anniversary, and they just put out a new album called 10.
Okay.
Simple as that. And it's really cool because they try to do something new. There's pop song in it. There's stuff in normal time signature. So I don't know, they're exploring, and I really, really enjoy it.
That's cool.
My brother, my sister's boyfriend, loved this band. Like, so that's
wow.
Like, but yeah, he really like enjoys that, and I listened to a couple of songs. It's really interesting, but I can understand like it's kind of like it kind of works with like the metal, like kind of like if you like metal, I feel like it kind of can work.
Yeah,
like
it has that vibe.
Yeah, it has like a little bit of that vibe. So yeah, I get it.
That's interesting. And for me, I've been listening this week to Ige Park. So that's one of the guys from Day 6, my favorite Korean band. François is tired of hearing about them.
No, we will add a little one here.
I talk about them in the main pretty much almost every episode. So Day 6 is more rock, but Jay, who goes under the name Ige for his music, which is just Jay backwards. It's very mellow. It's what I would call like chill pop, soft pop, I guess. Maybe a little bit R&B. He says he's still trying to discover his style. So all the songs are on YouTube and SoundCloud. They're not on Spotify, although everybody keeps telling him he needs to put them on Spotify. But they're very good. And my favorite right now are 50 Proof and Pac-Man. And so check those out.
Will do.
And they're all very short songs. So that's the one thing. I think the longest song is 2 minutes. And otherwise, because like I said, he's still just trying to discover what his sound is like. And I think he did a collaboration, which is 3 minutes something, which is more close to like a regular song. But otherwise, they're 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40. And so his playlist of 8 songs goes by in 15 minutes.
We're far from the metal song who have like 8 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's in the vibe of a hardcore band. Like you have 35 songs for a like 15-minute album.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a couple of bands that like to get to the point. So the song called, I don't know, I would say like Chair. There's like 10 seconds of noise and the guy is screaming chair for 10 seconds and the song is done. So,
Next song. Table.
next song. Table, yeah.
Done.
And the album is called My House. We have a project here.
So now that we got to know our guests a little bit and everybody's kind of in the know of what we're listening to, let's jump into today's conversation, which is our confront, well, your confront experiences, because I've already rambled about my confront experiences. So what made you want to join Confront at the beginning?
Go, Anne-Marie, because you were the first one to go.
Well, in my case, I've always been attracted to journalism.
Mm-hmm.
I tried studying it in CJEP University. I was always like attracted to these. I had a camera, was taking pictures mainly of hockey because
Mm-hmm.
I'm really passionate about 2 things in life: music and hockey.
Right.
Like it's the main 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
This hasn't changed for like 2 decades. And I was really obsessed with a band called Denis Cities, Quebec band. I think it's also another link. They were always touring with the same 2-3 bands.
Yeah.
Mission District, Faber Drive.
The Mission District. I actually have their
Yes.
shirt on
Oh
today.
my God, I didn't see. Wow.
So by that, we started connecting like with Jenna and Jenya, and Melissa. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to take pictures. And at a random show, I brought my camera when we could do that, like not being checked for cameras. I took picture and they were like, yeah, sure, come on board. And that's how I started. And eventually I had like enough confidence in me to be like, I love taking photos, but I'd rather write. And I started being a correspondent for the Simple Plan show at the Bell Center. Like, I think it's almost like 10 years ago. And I made an interview with These Kids Wear Crowns, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot These Kids Wear Crowns.
Yes.
Well, for me, it was like, it's more like I didn't really know about like Confront before Anne-Marie was like, hey, we need a photographer for the Vans Warped Tour. Do you want a photographer for the Vans Warped Tour? And like, yeah,
how do you say no to that as a punk rock kid?
Like, yeah, sure. Like it's been like 10 years. I think it was in 2010. So yeah, so that's how I started. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I didn't know it was not that I didn't know it was a thing, but like I didn't know where to like go to become a like concert photographer. But I was doing like a little bit the same, like taking photos of like band during like concerts that I was going to, like the New Cities, Simple Plan. And then like I was like, oh, that would be really fun to do that like for other shows. And
and it's funny because that means I just remember, I forgot this, but so Justine and I were doing the interviews that day
Yes.
at Warped Tour. And Marie, I think you were doing reviews.
Yes.
And Marie-Claire, you were taking photos. So we were all there.
I was taking photos too. I did.
We're taking photos.
Yeah, I did. I took your pictures for the interview with Andrew WK.
That's true.
I remember that.
No, that wasn't me though. That was
Justine. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that very vividly because I was always like, why is he wearing all white? And when he arrived in front of me, I was like, wow, these clothes are definitely not white. Yeah, that is not white.
but I'm jealous. Andrew WK seemed like a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, he was. No, that's really Lee. You were doing Sum 41 while we were doing Andrew WK.
Just that, like,
just
no big deal.
My 5 minutes with Cone.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, that was like a crazy day. Like, it was insane. To me, like, to start photographing with like Vans Warped Tour with like, that was insane. That was just insane.
Yeah. And
it's like a dream.
Yeah. And I think, Anne-Marie, you've covered Warped Tour another year, like for the interviews, right? Didn't you?
No, I did a review.
Oh.
But I did not, because I don't think we had passes, because I don't remember what happened. But I was like, hey, you know what? I'll be there anyway for shows. Do you want me to do reviews of like what I'll be attending? So that's what I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we had, because I think it was the same year we were together. I think that year for Vans, but we didn't have a pass.
Oh, I see.
Like, yeah.
I'm not even sure. I think it's another year. It's the year I was with my two American, my friend from Toronto and my friend from the United States.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not true. You were there because I remember the rest of the gang being there. So yes, you were there. Too many events.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No, we I think me and you, Marie-Claire, we covered a lot of events together.
Yeah.
We did a lot of them. And
I think if I calculate, like, because I can kind of check back because I have photos, like it's kind of easier for me. Like I went through my photos a little bit like yesterday, and like, yeah, I'm pretty sure like for me, I think I've seen like maybe 500 shows like in 10 years. Like it would not surprise me. Like,
but when we were doing our episode, I said, I was the one, especially at the beginning when I had a lot of free time, I would put my name down for everything. If I knew the band, if I didn't know the band, if they were the genre that I listened to, that if they weren't, I interviewed Classified, something that I remember. And so Marie-Claire, you were exactly like me. You put your name down everywhere.
Yeah, whatever. I don't
care.
But that's a nice way to discover band and see shows for free. So I guess it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's something I was repeating to everyone who would be like, you're doing this for free? And I'd be like, if I was going to this show, I would have paid something like $40, $50 for a ticket.
Exactly.
And now I'm going to see the show for free. And I work maybe, in my case, it's not pictures and I write quite quickly. So maybe I work an hour or two. So I was paid $50 for a 3 hours work.
That's true.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like for me, when people said, because everybody was telling me that too, like you're doing all this work for free, but I'm like, but I get to talk to my favorite bands.
Yeah.
As an equal, not as a fan, but as somebody that, they're talking to and they're answering serious questions to. So that for me, that was like 100% worth it. Even though for me, it was sometimes more than just a few hours because writing out interviews sometimes is a long process.
Yeah, that was long. Especially like, I remember one interview I did, and I think you had warned me, Lily, because you hadn't interviewed them before, and you're like, you know what? Pierce the Veil, the two brothers have the same voice. I was like, yeah, it's gonna be fine. I love them. I was listening to the interview. I was like, oh my God. I think it was one of the worst.
I talked about this one too, because that was horrible. You know, because in real life, they don't sound exactly the same.
Mm,
But on recording, they
Yeah.
sound exactly the same.
yeah.
But regarding interview, what was your first interview you did back then? I think for Anne-Marie, especially.
Yeah. Well, as I said, for me, the first interview I did was These Kids Were Crowns at the Bell Center. So I think I was more intimidated by the fact I was doing an interview at the Bell Center than by the band itself. I mean, I love These Kids Were Crowns. I was super excited to interview Joe, but it was just like the fact that I was walking around in the Bell Center, that I think I saw some of the guy of Simple Plan, and I think one of the other band that was there was, I want to say Favorite Drive, but
I think I wanted to say
sure.
Favorite Drive as well.
but
I
like
want
I'd have to say, but like it was always about the same band. You would see the
Yeah.
Mission District,
Yeah.
Favorite Drive,
the New Cities.
Adelaide, the New Cities. I know I'm forgetting one, but it was Carly Rae Jepsen. It was always like pretty much
Mariana's Trench.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Mariana's Trench was there. So it was always pretty much these bands. So I think it was more like intimidated by that. It went super well. It was super fun, but yeah, that was like something else.
Yeah, and as a hockey fan, did you take the chance to walk around, take picture of the ab stuff around, or?
No, because how it works is that, well, at least for me, how it worked is that when you give your name downstairs at the entrance where the other team usually enters, you give your name there, and some security guy like follows you and brings you there, or
Okay.
the rep from the band, so you don't have a chance to wander around.
But see, my first interview, the guy who was supposed to escort me out wasn't there when I came out.
Oh
So
no!
I was telling Francois, I got lost the first time I interviewed it at the Bell Center because I like took a wrong turn while trying to exit.
Oh, no.
Oh no!
And so you, Marie-Claire, talk about your first experience. So your first experience was taking photos at Warped Tour.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say than like, it was just super fun. It was like a really long day, but like, I don't know. I photographed Sum 41. Who was there? Like,
there was We the Kings that year. There
Yeah.
was who else? I'm just trying to see like my interviews. Never Shout Never, the Mission District,
The New Cities.
the New
I
Cities. I think so too. I
It's
think they
always
were
the
like
same band.
specially, yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's the thing with Vans Warped Tour. It's they're always trying to add, which is cool, local bands.
Yeah.
So of course in Montreal, like you would have local Montreal and Canadian bands
Right.
that would do the Canadian run. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that must have been really crazy. And you must have been running around a lot through the stages too, right?
yeah. I remember the schedule was like kind of crazy a little bit, like, but
Yeah.
honestly, it was just fun. Like, I don't remember it being like too like tiring. It was just like, okay, let's try to do the most of the day.
Mhm.
And like probably the day after was just like editing like
Right.
But
yeah,
that's
but
nice.
after
But that's nice. You didn't destroy your photo.
Your camera.
Your camera. Oh boy, sorry. You didn't destroy your camera on the first day, so.
no, not it's gonna be in my worst moments, but yeah.
yeah,
Oh no.
I think I'm sure it's the one I'm thinking where we were all three. Yeah.
We were all there too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because during the shows you always see the photographer getting pushed and like.
Yeah, well, yeah, it doesn't happen that often. Even like I photograph like Heavy Montreal and stuff like that, and from the crowd, which you would think would be like really intense and like but it's not that bad, honestly. Like I would say that Heavy Montreal, it's like people are nicer than like crowds in Osheaga.
Yeah. But I think we because one year we covered Osheaga and Heavy Montreal together, 1 weekend after the other.
Yeah.
And that was pretty crazy. But I remember like I feel like the Osheaga crowd back then anyways was a little bit more like Oh, what are you
snobbish.
doing? Why do you want to have to go in front of me?
Yeah.
Versus
Oh, yeah.
having amateur, they were just like, okay, go ahead. You have a camera, you have a press pass, like go ahead.
Yeah.
Take my photo.
But it was just so crazy because I just remember for those weekends, you know, Osheaga was so colorful, and then the next weekend everything was black.
Yeah, but black is all the color together.
That's true.
You could argue for that.
I think there was one year, like in the last few years, that they had Heavy Montreal and Il Sonic the same
Yes.
day.
It's
Right.
two years
So
ago. I
like
think.
the melting pot in the metro was like
Something
beautiful.
else. I think it's the one we did together.
Was
Was it
it?
this-
Oh yeah.
With Corinne.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think
it.
the last one.
Yeah,
But
pretty
yeah.
much the last one before the end of CONFRONT. Yeah.
Mm. But
Yeah.
it's funny. One of the memories I have with you, Marie-Claire, from those summers was that one time when we did Osheaga and Heavy Montreal, we found out on the last day of Osheaga that there was a special catering area for bands and press.
Yes. Yeah. Each
And-
year I was like figuring out like
Where was
the little,
food?
like, yeah. You
And-
just need to talk to people because they don't tell you like where you have access.
No.
You just need to
No.
try your bracelet and be like, do I have access here? No. Oh, okay. Go
Am I
back.
allowed to eat here? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I remember we had really good pasta in a cone.
Yes.
And
Oh,
so that's all that we ate the next weekend.
Yes. Oh my god. I don't know if do they still have it? I didn't go last year at Osheaga, so I don't know. But yeah.
There was still Osheaga last year because I think
Yes.
they
It's just
stopped
that-
doing AVMTL and that was supposed to be a country festival, I think, or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
but-
usually it's Heavy Montreal that they skip a year, but not Osheaga.
Oh.
Okay.
No, Osheaga was happening like in 2019. I just went to Lollapalooza instead.
Oh,
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, the lineup at Osheaga was not like super interesting. So I was
Mhm.
like, and it's the same weekend as
Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza. So I was like, oh, that's my chance to like go and
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
Chicago. So yeah.
And so what are some of your best memories of working with Confront?
I have
This is a hard one, huh?
Yeah.
I have so many, but like as I said, taking pictures of Avon Sevenfold for my first assignment was something else. Like
Yeah.
it's funny in retrospect because all I remember, because the setup was for when Jimmy has just passed away. So
Mm.
how the setup was starting was that curtains would drop and someone would fake hang themselves.
Wow.
The person the curtains drop, the person hang themselves, the band arrives on stage. I'm like that with my camera and I just go
What?
not moving. I'm like, it took me a solid minute to like regain and be like, okay, I have to take pictures because I was just too starstruck. I liked them since I was like 15 and I was like, wow, they're there in front of me and I have to take pictures.
Yeah.
But,
And you don't have a lot of time to take pictures. It's what, the first three songs?
Yeah.
3
Usually.
songs, yeah. And so this one was quite something. And other than that, I think Heavy Montreal in general was always a favorite of mine
Mhm.
because it was a way to see like pretty much all the bands I like, because when you like smaller bands, they tend to do more festivals. They don't go as much in Canada because it's expensive. So
Right.
I always like going to Heavy Montreal.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I remember the two smaller tent, and
Yes.
we were always running between the two to see which band we didn't heard about, but it can be really cool. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Marie-Claire? What are some of your best memories?
Well, a little bit like Anne-Marie, like all the festival was like always so much fun. It was like, it's so weird. It's like getting a tattoo. It's like it's so like harrowing during like the weekend. It's like it's fun, but it's like so much work and it's so like intense. And then it's done and you're just like, can we go back? Like
Yeah.
do it
Let's do
again.
another one.
Yeah.
Let's do another one, please. Like you forget every year how like intense it is and how hard it is to like do like, okay, you photograph every band and then you have to edit during like the night almost, and then you go back.
Yeah,
like,
that's true, because we wanted to post it during the same weekend.
yeah, well, because
otherwise it's not as like
current, like people are looking for it like the next morning, so you need to like, if you want people to like see your photos or see your reviews, you need to kind of do it like
right away,
next day. So yeah, that was intense, but that was so much fun. And what did I put? I said well, MGMT at Osheaga. I remember I think they were like in a smaller stage. It was a green stage, and I didn't know if I would have access to the front of the stage, because my past I didn't have access to like necessarily front of the stage for every like every stage. And then I got access, I could go, so I was like, okay, I can photograph like one of my favorite band front row. It's Osheaga. It was like I was so excited, and
they were really good that night. I remember.
I love them. And then I also said Ellie Goulding, to be able to photograph Ellie Goulding at the Bell Center. I remember it was I you know, sometimes you ask for like bigger shows, and with Confront it was like kind of like, maybe we're gonna get it, maybe we're not. And I was like, well, yeah, it's probably not gonna happen. And then you get approved and it's just like, oh my god, so cool. And I really loved Ellie Goulding at that time. And yeah, to be in front, like, and it had been a while, like, you know, it's probably like 6 years or the 7th year of like Confront, so like, you know, you get kind of like used to it, and it's just like, okay, like you're doing like photographing shows. But that moment I was like, oh my god, it's been, like, it had been a while since I was that excited to shoot a show. So, like,
it's funny that you mentioned that, because after a couple of years, you know, at the beginning I would do a lot of research on the bands to really know everything, and to not be like just to really not be kind of to not be out of questions if there was ever a moment of silence or anything. But towards the end, sometimes I would just read their bio right before going into the interview, because by then I had my own bank of like 100 questions, you know, that I could ask any band.
Yeah.
So I was just not that I wasn't taking it seriously anymore, but I wasn't, you know, I didn't feel the need to know everything about the band before getting into there anymore.
But, you know, I actually had a complaint to my name because of that.
Really?
Yeah. The first year I did Heavy Montreal, the way I approached questions with bands would be like, hey, we're a small magazine, or the people reading us are mainly teens, younger people that find us by clicking.
Yeah.
So it's mostly like, it's not in a derogatory way, but like people who listen to One Direction and Justin Bieber. It's not necessarily metal. So like, could you introduce yourself and tell us your history?
Yeah.
And I did that to a band, explaining like, we have a very young reading group, and they really took a problem with it, and they felt like I was not ready for the interview.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's crazy, because even when I thoroughly researched a band, one of the first questions that I always used to ask was, can you give me a brief history 101 in your words? It's just because you read the Wikipedia, maybe that's not how they would describe themselves.
Yeah. That's also the reason why I did it. And it was a good way like to warm up the person.
Exactly.
And I was feeling so bad, because it was a big band, not an American band. So I was like, maybe it's the language difference, because they were from Sweden and they don't have necessarily the same like humor as us or stuff. And I didn't know, and I was feeling so bad, because I was like, this is something I asked to every band, and I scrapped that question from any interviews after that because I was too like, no, forget it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of jerk. It's not like you don't ask them for their pin number or whatever. You don't challenge them on their thinking. You just ask them a general question. I think it's kind of weird to react that bad.
And you're in a festival setting. Usually, like festival, it's like quick interviews. It's not like it's not like Vogue that like doing like a portrait of you. Like
like usually you have the rep of the band that is behind the band, but while you're interviewing them, he's looking at you and he's like,
yeah, you have like 5 minutes.
You're like, okay, and the band keeps answering and is like, do you have more question? And you're like, well, and the other
yes, many more. Let's start.
But and also sometimes at festivals, if I remember, you didn't know necessarily who you were going to interview.
Yeah.
So, you didn't always have time to research because you would put your name down and they would call you and you'd be like, okay, well, I'm not necessarily prepared. And you're not going to research the 50 bands of the day.
No.
So
why not?
So you're the band that does this song, right?
Just this song. That you just ask question on the 2-line you got on Google search.
Pretty much.
You have it like in front of you, like.
So I see here.
So let's just give me a sec. So now, what were you gonna say, François?
Yeah, but on the other side, what was the worst? Because I'm pretty sure you had some really bad stories to tell. Lily had some. For sure.
Mine is the only time I had to write to Jenny and Melissa and be like, you know what? I think we're going to have to dump the whole interview. And they're like, oh, come on. It's not that bad. I'm sure you can cut stuff and blah, blah. I was like, I don't know. Let me send you like some of the answer they gave me. And the band, they were like living sex, drugs, rock and roll. And they made dead baby jokes, dead pile of babies jokes the whole time. The guy, his crotch pants were like tear, and you could see like the red boxers under it. And I was not feeling good doing the interview. And I was with Marie-Claire and I was like, nope, it's not gonna work.
Oh no.
Yeah. That was an interesting one, let's say.
Interesting.
Yeah. And plus I did not even know if we could say their name in the magazine, because as I said, we had a very young people reading us, and their name is Nashville Pussy. So I was like, can we even write
do we censor the name?
Yeah. And she was like, okay, you know what? Like, we're not going to write down the interview. If they come back and they're like, why did you not do the interview? We're going to answer them, but let's just keep it then. And they never came back and asked why the interview was not on the website.
Okay.
So
okay.
It was, wow.
Yeah, that's awkward.
Yeah, and that kind of useless. I know they want to build like a
persona,
something around like blurry and you're cool, like you said, sex, drug, and rock and roll. But I think it's like just useless.
I don't know. In their case, I did not feel like it was like created. I feel like it really was how they were, the way they talked to me. They got their names, if I remember correctly, from a Ted Nugent song. So like to start with Ted Nugent.
Good start.
Yeah. So like Ted Nugent song, and like I feel like they were just like a gang of friends that were approaching the music like a gang of friends. So like I don't want to say that it was unprofessional, because that's not necessarily the case, but I don't think they really thought through like the fact, well, maybe it's not stuff we should say in an interview that will go through. Yeah.
So I guess they needed a little bit of censorship within
editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like, for example, Steel Panther that have that like kind of drug and rock and roll persona that is like so like blown out of proproportion that
Yeah.
you know it's like, okay, they're joking, like it's their persona, like they're
Such a good
on stage.
example.
But like this, it looked more like it's how they are, and it's like, I don't know.
That's funny. You said Steel Panther at the beginning when Annette start talking. I was pretty sure that was like Steel Panthers.
No, I tried to get an interview with them. I was terrified.
Oh my god!
Everyone was telling me you should try to get an interview with them, but I don't read sarcasm in English. Like I do in French, I have no problem. But when it's in English, I don't know if it's because it's my second language, I don't read it. So I was terrified to do it. It ended up not happening. So I was like, but yeah.
That would have been an interesting experience though, probably.
Yeah, probably. But like sometimes it ends up well. I did an interview with Hollywood Undead. The whole time I was scared because it was with Johnny Three Tears and Charlie Sheen, which are pretty much like the two biggest face of the band. I was
Faces.
like, yeah, you got the joke. But yeah, so I was a bit scared. I was like, what's it gonna be like? And he was challenging me on my question, and I was very like shaky. And at one point, I remember I asked him my question because like I was like, oh, you made fun of like Black Veil Bride for wearing makeup. I was like, yeah, that's gay. And I was like, yeah, but like, would you say that to Insane Clown Posse? And he was like, well, no, but it's not the same. And like when the interview ended, and when the interview ended, he like tapped me on my back, was like, good interview. And I was like, okay, it's just a persona.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because some of them, they'll have that stage persona, but then in your interview, they are the sweetest people. But others, they do try to keep that image still, even with the interview.
Sometimes they mixed up the two personalities.
Yeah.
I remember the interview you did, Lily, with like mindless self-indulgence.
Yeah.
That was such a good interview, and like the guy was super sweet, but like the music is so like out there and like kind of intense. But
it's funny because I was looking through my pictures to try to remember, because I have a very bad memory. So like, I'm very happy you were there with me a lot of the times.
You're welcome.
Because I saw that picture and I was like, oh, this was a really fun one, because he gave very serious answers and he was so sweet about everything.
Yeah. And I remember you was so happy that you were talking about, I think, video games, right? Or like
I need to read that interview again because I don't remember. But yeah, I remember.
I don't remember if it was video games or like not manga, but like comics.
Yeah, we talked about a subject that was outside of music, and he was like, he got so into it.
Yeah, I remember that.
But that's nice. You learn so much about someone when you ask him about his hobbies or like what he really into. Like, that's another side of a person.
And
absolutely.
And like, usually I feel like it's how you kind of get to like the artist, and like the artist will like be like, oh, that was a fun interview. It was just not like the same, copy paste.
Yeah. Usually they tell you when it's different or it's something they never heard about, they will tell you like, oh my God, that's so different. I never heard that. Or, oh, good question.
Or for me, it was, they always had fun drawing.
Yeah.
The reps hated me.
Yeah.
But the bands liked it.
Yeah.
And what about you, Marie-Claire? What were some of your worst experiences?
Well, I put like I have two, like a more broad one is like every time like the band is late to the show, every time the lighting is bad, but it seems on purpose to like not let the photographers have good.
That's true. That is something that I've noticed. Sometimes the first couple of songs, it's just red or it's completely dark. But they know that that's what the photographers are there.
So it's probably that the band doesn't really want photographers there. And for some reason they just don't say no to us. Yeah, so that
Because they
always
can
kind
say
of
no.
the what?
They can say
I
no.
think they
Yeah,
could say
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why it's frustrating, because I'm like, just say you don't want photographers at that point.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't mind. I'll just do something else with my evening. Like, you know.
But that's funny. I never see or at least acknowledge it. I was like, okay, they choose red. I didn't
Yeah,
know
well,
that
I don't
was.
know if it's always the case, but like, I don't know. There's a couple shows that you're like, or like the artist is like in the back, or like you feel like
There's a lot of smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or like
or-
props.
there's like weird requests, like, okay, you can only shoot from like this side. At one point, it was literally side stage, like in the like
Oh.
on the stage on the
Mhm.
side, like you know, it's like those weird requests that you're like, oof.
I think there was one show we did together, and you were so happy that you did not have to shoot inside Giant Wood.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
They were wearing onesies for like the first few songs, and like huge onesies, so you would not see them. And they're both like really skinny, so you could not like see them. And at one point, they have water bottle and they dumped it on the photographers. I remember turning to Maccio, she's like, "I'm so happy I'm not shooting right now."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was yeah.
But it's funny because you mentioned water, and I remember Marie-Claire taking like garbage bags and stuff, trying to protect her cameras at festivals.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. Also at festival, they like have those big like water cannons that like shoot water in the crowd, like, which for the crowd is great because like it's hot out there. But like for me, I'm like, no, like I'm just like protecting my camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that was like one of the let's say the not good stuff about like being a photographer, concert photographer. But like the other moment was like at what was the name of the festival?
Uproar.
Uproar.
Yeah, Uproar. Okay. At
I
Uproar
remember.
in Montreal, there was this huge storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, insane storm. It was like raining so much, and then I tried to protect my camera in a bag, and I think the humidity made the camera like not work for the last band, which was Avenged Sevenfold. And so yeah, I started to try to shoot the show, but like my camera was dead. And so yeah, never got photos from that band, but the camera was fine after a little trip in a rice bowl.
There was also
Good old rice.
the tech guy. Do y'all remember the tech guy
that ran around?
That ran across the stage.
Naked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't with you for that. I think you got like, I don't know. I think we got separated, no? Because like I wasn't with you like in at first.
We saw him twice. We saw once on the stage, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's a naked tech, and he looks like Skrillex." I remember. And then,
what was the setup over there? Why was naked on the stage?
I don't know.
I think so. It was raining, and I think maybe his clothes got wet, so he just stripped down and started to run. So we saw the guy running naked on the stage, but we also saw him running around backstage naked.
Yeah.
And
I was there for that.
but do you remember? So that day I had an interview with To Hell and High Water.
Yes.
And when it started pouring, their manager came out and said, "Hey, do you want to come in?" Because they saw that we didn't know where to go. Remember? And we got to go under not a real roof, but like somewhere where we were at least covered a little bit, which was really sweet.
Yeah, it was like a tent, a white tent, gathering tent.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not with you. Well, at first, I was not with you, so.
Because I do have a photo of you with your garbage bag camera.
Oh, I was soaking wet.
Yeah.
That was disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much my not great of an experience. Really, it really sucks when you're like I was just like, okay, I'll pretend I'm taking photos, because you're like in front of the stage, and like you're like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. My camera doesn't work. So yeah, I was kind of pretending and being like, yay, I'm in front
I'm
of
here.
folds. I guess that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, a couple years later, I got to photograph them for real. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
You got to do
part 2.
Yeah.
And at least your camera came back with rice.
Yeah, at least. Thank God.
I think you put it in the oven too.
Yeah. Well, at that moment I was like in photography class, like I was like studying photography. And my teacher told me, yeah, put it in like a low setting, like the lower, like in the oven. And I was like,
are you sure?
Sounds crazy.
And I did it, but like I think for like 5 minutes I was like way too scared. Like it was like, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And so that kind of comes to our next question, which is what was the craziest moment that you had with Confront?
Craziest.
That's really hard. I don't know. The first thing that came to mind was like again, festivals is like it's always that, but like in the first year of doing Asiaga, they would let us have like a VIP like bracelet. You would have access to like the VIP like sections in the front, and like you could go like to like a lot of like the bigger like VIP sections and stuff like that. So I remember going to see Arctic Monkeys like in the VIP section. It was such a great show. I love that band, and like I loved it like at that moment. So like it was just great. I was with friends. It was like, yeah, it was like such a cool moment.
That is pretty cool.
That was like kind of the perks when it was like a little less known,
right? Before we had all the external celebrities coming to Asiaga.
Yeah. So
I think the perks are, it's true, it was a good thing. Like I think for me, well, I don't know if I would say it's the craziest one, but I'm sorry. My phone keeps ringing. I'm so sorry. But for me, I think the craziest one would be like every time the bands were so laid back, they would give you anything. Like I remember I did an interview with, Corinne, my friend, did an interview with We Came as Romans. I don't remember why I could not do it at the moment, but I still went with her because it was one of her first one. And the lead singer was like, oh yeah, I remember you. I did an interview with you. Hugs me, and then I go out, I'm like, hey, do you know if like we're getting a pass for that? And he was just like, takes out 2 full access passes, like, yeah, there you go. And I was like, okay,
thank you.
I did not get. I ended up like staying in the like area for the show, but like I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
So I think like everything that has to do with like bands being super laid back was always the craziest to me, because even if you had like, if you did not have divas, you would still have bands like a certain space between you and the band. So when band were super laid back, it was always like, whoa.
Yeah. And those usually, they're more fun too to interview, because you feel like that there's a barrier that's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so did you guys discover any music through the magazine throughout the years? I know I did.
I'm not a good person like you and Maccio who would put your name everywhere. But I did discover a few bands. I Prevail while covering Hollywood Undead. We Came as Romans while covering Heavy Montreal. Oh shoot, I forgot the name. It's Hailstorm with an H.
Yeah.
Lizzie Hale. That was also like, I knew them, but really like listening to their music, and like I have the biggest girl crush on Lizzie now. So I think it's the main 3 I discovered through Confront.
That's
Yeah, I
cool.
was trying to check, like I feel like maybe the only that I'm really remembering like being like I didn't know them and I like discovered them was Two Door Cinema Club.
Mm-hmm.
They were opening for Tokyo Police Club.
Right.
That's a
And,
lot of club.
yeah, that's a lot of clubs. But yeah, I remember like being like, I feel like they were better than Tokyo Police Club. Like,
Wow.
I was like, oh, they're really good. And then like I continue like listening to them for a couple years after that. So yeah, that's pretty much the only one that I really remember being like, oh, I didn't know them.
Mm-hmm.
And like being really like, okay, I've listened to them after that. Usually there's like band I'm like, oh, that was really interesting or like really fun that I didn't know about, but like I don't know, they didn't stick as much like after that in my like.
And they didn't. So they weren't added into your playlist.
No,
The monthly
yeah,
playlist.
they were not in my monthly playlist.
And I
And-
think. No, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, but with all those stories, the good one, the bad one, the craziest one, what did you learn about yourself during all those years?
That I'm not as fearful of everything that like I thought.
Mhm.
Like I'm usually someone that is really like, albeit very intense. I'm someone who's very like unsure. Like
Mhm.
I will, for example, try to get a job if I know I can get the job. Otherwise, I won't try. And
Right.
this has pushed me to be like, well, you gave your name, you have to go to the interview now. So this has gave me some kind of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's great.
And
And
what
that's
about you,
Claire?
Claire?
It was such a tough question. I don't know, like I feel like everything I'm gonna say is like kind of corny, but like I don't know, I feel like being like learning to be like organized and like trustworthy,
Mhm.
like, you know, if you do your job, usually it's like after that, like it's important because like after that, like you can get more opportunities with that. Like I don't know, like sometimes even someone who's like maybe more talented than you, like if they're not organized, if they're not like trustworthy, like
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
probably gonna get the job, like you're not gonna get the job.
Yeah.
So, and also the equipment doesn't make the photographer, I would say, or the photograph.
Mhm.
Like, you know, I've interacted with a lot of photographers. This is like kind of the perks of being a photographers. You kind of meet everyone because we're all together.
Mhm.
So I've met a lot of concert photographers, and like, you know, you have every type of photographers, like with like big cameras, smaller, but like everyone has their style and everyone do different things. And like, yeah, you really don't need like the biggest camera to make like the best photos.
Mhm.
That's for sure.
I'm pretty sure every guy in the photography forums online right now are against you, but like
care.
every other gear stuff, it's
Yeah,
always better.
yeah.
You need to buy the biggest one, the new one.
Oh, and I have a pretty great camera, but like I know a lot of other people that do great photos, concert photos, and don't have
Mhm.
like a super expensive camera.
Right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So this was a really fun look back down memory lane.
Yeah.
Are there anything else that you guys wanted to add? Any other memories that you want to talk about?
Yes, I have one because I
Yeah.
think it's the funniest one I had
Go
with
ahead.
Marie-Claire.
Oh.
Heavy Montreal.
Look at her
Yeah.
face.
The interview with Apocalyptica.
Oh my God.
With
Yeah.
the two, I did the interview with Apocalyptica. It was like two of the cellists in the band,
Mhm.
and for the rest of the day, we would see them everywhere. And
Oh yeah, that's
it
true. I
was
heard
like
this
they
story.
were following us, following me, and every time one of them would be like,
Yeah.
So they would
Oh,
wave.
that's so funny.
and we would go to another interview, go see Dropkick Murphys. What was the trailer next to Dropkick Murphys? Apocalyptica, and what they would be like.
Like,
So
yeah,
I'm like, I
it's like
think
they were following us.
Yeah,
So for those who are just listening to us, every time Anne-Marie stops talking, she's basically just waving.
I forgot that part because it's video. But yeah, every time they would see us, they would wave and say hello to us. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, it became a running joke of the weekend that like I was followed by Finland's
Yeah, you was stalked by Apocalyptica.
Yeah.
But maybe you just enjoy your interview and he was like really happy to see you back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Oh yeah, that was probably just that. You just ruin her fantasy. Yeah.
So I hope you had as much fun as I did, because I loved trying to figure out all of these memories and trying to put them back into my mind, because they, you know, like me, you guys were there for a long time and you had a lot to, you did a lot. So it must have been hard to try to remember everything. I know I read some of the interviews because I tried to copy paste all of the interviews into a document before the site closed down. And I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember talking to them. And and it was just crazy because, you know, after a certain moment, everything kind of just blends together.
Yeah, that was really fun to like kind of revisit like all those years that like that we're like kind of like, okay, doing like 2-3 shows per week.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that was
It
was
was
crazy.
fun.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Well, I still do. Well, now I miss it because I can't do it. And yeah, I think it's, at least the pandemic would make me like feel really grateful each time I can like shoot a show. Because I think like you start to take it for granted, and yeah, I don't want to take it for granted anymore.
Yeah. So this was Sparkling Harmonies. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you. Well, you'll hear us again in a couple of weeks. Bye.
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 Bye.